The sirens came out of nowhere. Derek Hayes had just left a city planning meeting downtown, his tie loosened and his briefcase resting on the passenger seat. The smooth hum of his electric car cut quietly through the evening air. He was less than 10 minutes from home when the red and blue lights flared behind him. His hands tightened on the wheel, not out of guilt, but preparation. Because Derek, a tall, well-dressed black man in his late 30s, knew what this meant. The cruiser pulled close. The officer behind the wheel, Officer Trent Caldwell, was already scowling before he stepped out. Mid-40s. Crew cut. Pale skin. Eyes that scanned, with the suspicion of someone who had decided who you were long before you opened your mouth. Derek exhaled and pulled over, slowly rolling down the window. "License and registration," Caldwell barked. No introduction, no explanation. Derek reached for his wallet slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Yes, officer. May I ask what this is about?"
"You were driving suspiciously. You swerved once back there."
Derek raised a brow. "I don't recall swerving, sir." Caldwell leaned closer. "You calling me a liar?" "No, I'm asking for clarity." "Step out of the car." The words came too fast, too forceful, too rehearsed. Derek blinked. "On what grounds?" "Refusal to comply is resisting. I won't ask again." With a sigh, Derek opened the door and stepped out. His suit was still crisp from his meeting, his watch understated but expensive. He stood calmly, hands raised slightly, not in surrender but in tired self-defense. The same posture black men have perfected through generations. Caldwell circled him like a predator trying to find a reason to bite. "You fit a description," he added quickly. "What description is that?" Derek asked. Caldwell didn't answer. Instead, he snapped on a glove. "I'm going to conduct a quick search."
"I do not consent to a search." "You don't need to, sir," Caldwell growled. "This is for my safety." Derek clenched his jaw. "Your safety seems to be the only concern."
Caldwell searched him anyway, patting down, rough, disrespectful. Hands lingered where they didn't belong, looking for something, anything, that could turn this into a case. He found nothing. "I'm going to run your license. Don't move." Derek stood beside his own car in the fading sunlight, watched by strangers on the sidewalk. Watched like a criminal, like a suspect, like something dangerous, even when he hadn't done a thing. Caldwell returned a minute later, but his face had changed. The tension in his jaw, the flicker of surprise in his eyes. He glanced again at Derek, suddenly quieter. "What do you do?" he asked. Derek met his gaze evenly. "You didn't ask me that earlier." "I'm asking now." "I'm the Deputy Director of Oversight at the State Attorney General's office." Caldwell froze. "That's not a joke," Derek added. "I help investigate systemic misconduct across law enforcement departments, including traffic stop patterns by officers like yourself." The color drained from Caldwell's face. Derek continued, voice calm, razor sharp. "I've spent the last year reviewing data on racially biased stops, officers disproportionately pulling over black men for vague reasons. Do you want to know which precinct flagged the highest?" Caldwell didn't respond. "Yours," Derek said, not breaking eye contact. A long silence. Then Caldwell took a step back, suddenly deferential. "Sir, I didn't realize—" "That's the problem," Derek interrupted. "You never think you're profiling until the badge you disrespect has more weight than yours." "I didn't mean to."
"You didn't mean to get caught."
Derek walked to his car and opened the door. "Consider this stop documented. You'll be hearing from my office." 3 weeks later. The conference room was silent. Caldwell sat stiffly at the end of the table, his uniform freshly pressed, but his hands trembling slightly in his lap. Across from him sat Derek. But this time, Derek wasn't standing in the shadow of red and blue lights. He sat at the head of the table, flanked by state investigators, internal affairs, and a representative from the governor's office. A projector played back dashcam footage. Caldwell's voice, hostile, smug, echoed across the room. The room watched in silence as Caldwell made the unlawful stop, conducted a non-consensual search, and dismissed Derek's rights. "This," Derek said to the room, pausing the video, "is what systemic bias looks like in real time, not just intent, but habit."
The department's HR officer coughed. "Officer Caldwell, do you have anything to say in your defense?"
Caldwell's voice cracked. "It was just a routine stop." "No, it wasn't," Derek replied. "It was a mirror, and you didn't like what you saw looking back at you." The recommendation came down swiftly. Immediate termination, revocation of certification, department-wide retraining initiated. Caldwell didn't say a word as he stood and left, but Derek wasn't done. Later that day, he stood before a room full of recruits at the police academy. Young faces, mixed backgrounds, some hopeful, some jaded, all watching him closely. He told them about the stop. He told them about Caldwell. But most of all, he told them the truth. "The badge doesn't make you powerful," he said. "It makes you accountable. You don't earn respect by demanding it. You earn it by practicing it, even when no one's watching." The room was quiet. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others sat a little straighter. But all of them were listening. And that was the beginning of change. The investigation begins. The morning sun broke through the blinds of Derek Hayes' office, illuminating a growing stack of reports, audio recordings, and sworn testimonies. The Internal Oversight Division had launched its formal inquiry into Officer Trent Caldwell's stop, but the deeper they dug, the more unsettling the truth became. What Derek thought was a personal incident was actually the tip of something far uglier. Caldwell wasn't just a rogue cop, he was part of a pattern. "This isn't isolated," his assistant Jada said, sliding a file across the desk. "Since 2021, he's been involved in over 80 stops that match the same profile, all black drivers, all vague infractions, only 2 led to actual citations."
Derek scanned the file. One name caught his attention.
"David Long," he read aloud. "This kid filed a complaint 2 years ago, said Caldwell planted something during a search." Jada nodded. It was dismissed. No dashcam footage was submitted. The case vanished. Derek frowned. Or someone made it vanish. Derek arrived that afternoon, armed with clearance orders. He was greeted with tight smiles and colder shoulders. The kind of resistance that wasn't loud, but heavy. He walked through the evidence archive, following the digital trail from Caldwell's cruiser. Box 7, B, traffic stop, August 3rd, 2022. The label was faded, the tape slightly torn. Inside, a single flash drive. No chain of custody form, no officer log. But as Derek plugged it into his laptop, the screen flickered to life. A video began playing. Grainy, unedited, but clear. It showed Caldwell, agitated, pacing, at the side of a road. A young black man, maybe 19 or 20, sat on the curb, handcuffed, crying. Caldwell walked to the trunk of his cruiser, pulled something from his jacket pocket, then bent down and placed it under the driver's seat. Derek froze. This wasn't just bias. This was evidence tampering. Derek's phone buzzed. Unknown caller. He hesitated, then answered. "Mr. Hayes," a low voice crackled. "I don't know who you think you're dealing with, but if you keep digging, you won't like what you find." The line went dead.
Derek stared at the phone.
The number was scrambled, no trace. Whoever it was, they weren't just threatening him. They were warning him, but he didn't back down. He forwarded the video file to the state attorney's secure line, marked it urgent. Then, turning to Jada, he spoke firmly. Set a meeting with Chief Daniels, first thing in the morning, and pull every file connected to Officer Caldwell's patrol partner. I want to know if he was acting alone. A figure sat behind a desk, watching the same video Derek had uncovered. He turned to someone in the shadows. He found it. The voice from the darkness replied coldly.
Then we'll have to make sure he doesn't find the rest.
News report. Breaking news out of Metro Heights today as an explosive video surfaces showing Officer Trent Caldwell allegedly planting evidence during a traffic stop. The video, released by the Internal Oversight Division, has triggered outrage across the city, with protests already forming outside City Hall. The camera cuts to angry crowds chanting, "Justice for all, not just for some." Signs wave in the air. "We see you." "End qualified immunity." "Justice for David Long." Derek Hayes sat at his desk, the media firestorm roaring just outside his office window. The air was tight, tense, humming with pressure. Jada burst in, a grim look on her face. "Chief Daniels cancelled your meeting." Derek raised an eyebrow. "Why?" She hesitated. "He's on administrative leave, mayor's orders." Derek leaned back, his thoughts racing.
Everything was unraveling.
And it wasn't just about one bad cop anymore. A 17-year-old David sits nervously in a precinct interview room. Tears streak his cheeks. "He pulled me out the car, slammed me on the hood, said he smelled something. Next thing I know, he's pulling out a baggie from under my seat. I swear, I never saw that before." "Did he read you your rights?" the interviewer asks. David shakes his head. He just kept saying that no one's going to believe a kid like you. Mayor Regina Holt stood before a packed press conference. Her voice was sharp, controlled. "Effective immediately, Officer Trent Caldwell is suspended without pay, pending a full criminal investigation. But let me be clear, and this is not just about one officer, this is about accountability, transparency, and the future of law enforcement in our city." The crowd murmurs. She continued, "I've appointed Derek Hayes as special counsel to lead a department-wide audit of officer conduct, racial profiling patterns, and citizen complaints dating back 5 years.
Gasps ripple through the room. Some clap. Others look stunned.
The silence after her words is heavy, because they know the real fight is just beginning. Derek's apartment. Late night. Derek stood at his window, looking down at the crowds still marching peacefully through the streets. He thought about David Long, about every name in that file, about every name not in a file, those who never reported, too tired or too scared to speak up. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. He answered. A calm, chilling voice spoke.
"You don't know what you've started."
Derek didn't flinch.
"Number, you don't know what's coming."
Click. The line went dead. Early the next morning, Jada met Derek at the station. The entire records department had been frozen. No one was allowed to alter or destroy anything. Jada handed Derek a single folder marked Internal Disciplinary Actions Suppressed. He opened it. His eyes scanned page after page. Names, dates, complaints, all brushed under the rug by the same two people, Chief Daniels and someone named Lieutenant Henry Cobb. Jada frowned. That name's been showing up a lot, but he's not listed as active duty anymore.
Derek narrowed his eyes. "Find him!"
A man in his 60s, worn, quiet, tired, sat on a recliner watching the news play out. The headline scrolled, Caldwell case widens into departmental corruption probe. He turned the TV off, lit a cigarette, and stared at an envelope on his kitchen table labelled, "To be opened only if I'm gone." Inside it, photos, documents, dashcam drives, and one key. A key labelled Evidence Locker 3B-decommissioned, next day. Jada rushed in, clutching her tablet. "Derek, you need to see this. Someone leaked body cam footage from another case. It's Officer Caldwell again, only this time—" Derek cut her off. Who was the victim? She hesitated. It was a teenager, 15 years old. The case was closed, said he resisted arrest. Derek's stomach dropped. Jada whispered,
But from the footage, it doesn't look like he resisted anything. Two shadowy figures speak quietly under flickering lights.
"You said Caldwell would handle it. He got sloppy. What about Hayes?"
The first figure smirks.
"He doesn't know he's walking straight into it." The key from Lieutenant Cobb's envelope works.
The old lights buzz to life.
Dust dances in the air. Derek steps forward, heart pounding. He opens a locked drawer. Inside, a labelled drive, Operation Chainlink. He plugs it in. The screen lights up. Audio, photos, names, dozens of them, officers, lawyers, chiefs, all linked in a cover-up that went deeper than anyone imagined. As Derek reads the first line of a redacted file, his eyes widen. It wasn't just about Caldwell,
It went up to the top. And the name at the center of it all?
a man still holding office.
As Derek goes public, the city trembles and powerful enemies begin their retaliation. The truth is out, but will it survive the war that follows?